Here's something that's going to sound insane. Studying for 6 hours can genuinely make you worse at a test than studying for 3. Okay, so let's start with the thing everyone believes. More effort equals more results. You study 2 hours, you learn some stuff. So logically, 4 hours should teach you double, and 6 hours should teach you triple, right? That's how it feels like it should work. And that belief is exactly why so many people burn out chasing grades, chasing gym gains, chasing anything, and end up with less to show for it than someone who did way less work. So why does more effort stop paying off? It's because of something called the Law of Diminishing Returns. And here's the twist, it wasn't invented by some productivity guru. It came from economics, from a French thinker named Anne Robert Jacques Turgot, who was studying farming, not studying habits. He noticed that if you keep adding fertilizer to the same field, the first bit of fertilizer boosts your crop a lot. The second dose helps some. The third dose barely does anything. And eventually, more fertilizer actually starts killing the plants. The input kept increasing, but the output flattened out, then reversed. Your brain works on a shockingly similar curve. Think of it like a sponge sitting in a puddle of water. Dip a dry sponge in water and it soaks up a ton, instantly. Dip it again, it still grabs a decent amount. But by the 4th or 5th dip, that sponge is already full. Dunking it a 6th time doesn't add more water. It just sits there, saturated, doing nothing. Your brain during a study session is that sponge. The first hour, you're absorbing concepts fast. The second hour, you're still learning, just a bit slower. But somewhere around hour 3, your brain hits its saturation point. And hour 4 isn't neutral. It's actively worse than doing nothing, because you're now reinforcing bad focus habits, skimming instead of absorbing, and training your brain to associate studying with exhaustion and misery. This isn't just some folk theory either. Anders Ericsson, the researcher famous for studying what actually makes people become experts, found something that surprised a lot of people. Elite performers, world-class musicians, chess players, athletes, don't grind for 12 hours a day. Most of them cap intense, focused practice at around 4 hours, split into short, sharp blocks. Past that point, their own data showed performance and retention just collapsing. The elite aren't more disciplined in the way you'd think. They're more disciplined about stopping. Let's make this real. Say you've got a test in 3 days, and you decide to pull a 6-hour study marathon the night before. Hours 1 and 2, you're actually learning, decent gains, you feel accomplished. Hour 3, you're rereading the same paragraph for the 4th time because your focus is draining. Hour 4, you're basically just staring at the page while your eyes move across the words, nothing sticking. Hour 5 and 6, you're now so exhausted that you're sabotaging tomorrow too, because you're wrecking your sleep, and sleep is literally when your brain saves what you learned. So that 6-hour grind didn't just waste hours 4 through 6. It actively deleted some of what you learned in hours 1 and 2. Now here's the part that goes against your gut completely. You'd assume the fix is willpower, push harder, fight through the fog, grind past the wall. But that instinct is exactly backwards. The fix isn't pushing longer. It's stopping earlier, on purpose, before the curve flattens. A shorter, sharper session where your brain is still in that steep, absorbing part of the curve beats a marathon session where you're stuck flogging a sponge that's already full. So how do you actually find your stopping point? Simple test. Every study session, do a real check every 45 minutes to an hour. Ask yourself one honest question. Am I still absorbing new information, or am I just moving my eyes across the page? If the answer is you're just moving your eyes, that's not you being lazy, that's your sponge telling you it's full. That's your actual, personal diminishing returns point, and it's different for everyone, and it changes day to day depending on sleep and stress. The number of hours on your calendar means nothing. What matters is whether new water is still soaking in. Once you hit that point, stop. Not because you're weak, but because continuing is now actively working against you. Take a real break, go outside, eat something, sleep if it's late, then me back later with a fresh, dry sponge ready to absorb again. So next time you're tempted to prove how hard you're working by grinding for hour after hour, remember the sponge. More input past your limit doesn't mean more knowledge. It means you're just soaking wet with nothing left to show for it. Stop when the water stops going in. That's not giving up. That's exactly where the real skill is.